So Castle seems to be a pretty popular operator, especially from what I've seen lately with newer players. He, on the surface, appears to be a pretty simple operator, and new players think that he'll be easy to master and that they won't have to think very much when using him, right? Right? No. Castle actually requires quite a bit of thought and at certain times a lot of coordination with your team to use properly. One bad castle can lead an otherwise perfectly competent team to get utterly destroyed, but a good castle can lead a subpar team to victory. So what's the trick? What separates the castle men from the castle boys? Well, there's a lot of different factors you should think of before placing any castle barricades. Heck, before even choosing castle as an operator. Sometimes he just isn't going to be the right choice. Let's break down the game modes first. If the game mode is hostage, I would recommend using a castle almost 100% of the time. You don't need to worry whatsoever about a fuse getting an easy pick from a castle window if that castle window is right by the hostage. For a secure area match, I would say it depends on the map, your level of comfort with castle, and your teammates. Certain maps just really aren't conducive to castle, and house being one of them in my opinion, but that doesn't mean you can't use them there. And I would almost never recommend using castle when the objective is bomb. Usually the objective with castle is to limit easy entry points for the attackers, but with bomb you have 2 rooms you need to cover, and usually you're going to have a hard time getting any use of your castle barricades when there's double the points of entry. But again, don't take my word as gospel here. One of my favorite things about this game is that people are figuring out new tactics all the time. If you've got a plan you think could work with castle on bomb, give it a shot. Next up, and don't take this as harsh, because I truly don't mean it to be, but if you're new, you probably shouldn't be picking castle. The thing about castle is you should really have a solid understanding of the map to be using him, along with a good understanding of the usual tactics that the enemy is going to throw at you. In Siege, you can't just plan something out. You have to plan your strat out and think about how your opponent is most likely to counter it. If you don't know where typical entry points may be, or you just aren't comfortable on a map, give it some time before you choose castle. Another point to newer castle users, heck, this goes to new players in general, don't barricade the team into the objective room as soon as the prep phase starts. I mean, come on. It's also worth noting that unless your team has some super crazy plan, don't all castle barricade yourselves into the same room even if it is the objective room. I've seen a lot of castles just pin everybody in the objective room without a single roamer outside, or even somebody in an adjacent room to get some other sightlines. Let your team spread out until it looks like they're all set, then castle up the doors if you want to. If you need to take the castle barricade down for any reason, if anyone on the team pulls it down with their crowbar, you get that barricade right back. Castle barricading windows can be tricky. It makes for an easy fuse charge, so always be prepared for that eventuality. You shouldn't have to worry about this as much in Hostage, but still it's worth paying attention to. There are some ways to counter that though. Putting a mute signal disruptor right under the castle window will jam the fuse charge signal, rendering it useless. It also jams breach charges. This is particularly useful in upper story windows where Thatcher probably won't be able to EMP the disruptor. You can have a Jaeger put his doohickeys by your window as well. Each Jaeger device will stop 2 of the fuse charges, so one of them will only block 40% of the explosive hockey pucks, but you can completely stop a fuse in one location if you plant all 3 Jaeger devices within range. Lastly, and this is the sketchiest way, those who know me know what I'm about to suggest, equipping impact grenades with castle is the way to go in my opinion. If you hear a fuse planting his charge on your window, blow that bad boy up with an impact grenade and send him something of your own. Fuses almost never expect this, and they typically do not react in time before you send them into the next round. Now, it's an unfortunate aspect of being castle that you're going to have a lot of barricades done in by Ash or Sledge with almost no effort on their part. It's just part of the gig. But everybody else either needs to melee the thing 1.5 million times or plant a breach charge on it. That is easily countered by just keeping an eye for feet under your door barricades. Once an attacker enters the animation for placing a breach charge, they cannot get out of it until either the charge is planted or until death do us part, so fire away at their toes until you've committed a rather cheeky homicide. As far as overall barricade placement goes, there's not a lot of general rules to give. Each room is different, each map has its own personality, and at the end of the day, each team has what they prefer. But I can tell you what I like to do. If the objective is secure area and I do not have anybody else to help defend against a fuse charge, I either don't castle up any windows in the objective, or I make sure everybody knows that they may need to get out of the room fast. If there's a lot of windows, try to castle the ones with the best sightlines into the room, the windows that would make you the most uncomfortable if they gained control of. They still might get control of it, but at that point, you've done what you can. I usually try not to castle up entrances right into the objective because it can make it difficult for defenders in the room to keep control of any of the adjacent rooms/hallways. Sometimes it's still the right move, but more often than not, you're going to have a more successful round if you keep an open sightline rather than letting them get right outside the objective before you can even see them. What I usually do is castle up the doors that are the most typical entrances to the section of the building that the objective is on. Basically, I treat the 3 or 4 rooms around the objective the same as the objective room, and limit easy attacker entry points from outside and the other end of the building. This gives you time to react when they breach a certain point and completely bars some attackers from entering certain sections at all. I like to keep moving as castle, or at least set up shop in an adjacent room to the objective. Keep your eyes on the choke points that you've created with your barricades. If you know the map, then you should know where attackers will be forced to go if they avoid your barricades. That gives you a lot fewer areas to watch, and so gives you a better chance to react in time when the attackers make their move. And that's all I've got for this video. Castle is quite possibly my favorite defender, even though he's a little bit underpowered, and apparently I had quite a lot to say about using him. If you have any other suggestions for using Castle, let me know in the comments. If you liked this thing you just watched, maybe subscribe. If not, make sure you tell your friends that I suck. And as always, thanks for watching, I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.